So what would have happened if Emperor Mark woke up the moment Omni-Man tried to kill him? Imagine this. Chicago's skyline, miles above the city. Bodies of civilians crushed during their fight litter the streets below. Nolan Grayson hovers in the air, his white costume splattered with blood. His face is twisted with disappointment and rage. Mark floats across from him, bloodied, crying, desperate. Nolan's voice cuts through the wind. "You're being selfish, Mark. Your stubbornness against the inevitable is killing these people. How many more need to die before you accept what you are? What we are?" Mark's voice cracks. "I'm nothing like you. Mom isn't a pet. Earth isn't yours to conquer. I don't care if you're stronger. I'll fight you until I can't anymore." Nolan's eyes go cold. The flicker of hope that his son might join him dies. His fist clenches. He pulls back his arm. And for the first time, he aims to truly hurt his son. Time slows. Nolan's fist, bloodied and massive, cuts through the air. Mark's eyes widen, seeing his father's killing intent for what it is. The moment of impact arrives. Kinetic energy transfers. And in that exact millisecond, something impossible happens. Mark's smart atoms activate. Viltrumites are composed of intelligent cellular structures that react to environmental pressure and stimulus. They adapt and strengthen the individual when pushed to limits. They store and manipulate energy at a subatomic level. They possess molecular memory and can remember previous states. And right now, as Nolan's punch connects, those smart atoms interface with a temporal shockwave. A chronal ripple tears through reality, invisible to everyone except Mark. In that microsecond, Mark's cellular structure connects with quantum echoes of his future self. Images flood his teenage consciousness. Thrag's throne room, Viltrum's corpse ring, Alan's coalition briefings, Conquest's dying face, 500 years of war, strategy, loss, and absolute power. The consciousness of Emperor Marcus Grayson, 500th of his line, overwrites the mind of the teenage boy. The punch connects. Mark's head snaps back from the impact, but his body doesn't fly backward. His neck absorbs the kinetic energy with practiced ease. His feet remain planted in midair. His hand reaches up, impossibly fast, and catches Nolan's wrist before he can pull back. Nolan freezes. This is wrong. Mark should be unconscious, dying, falling. Instead, his son is looking at him. And the expression on Mark's face is not fear. It's not pain. It's cold calculation. When Mark speaks, it's not a teenager's voice. It's measured, ancient. "Hello, Father. We need to talk." Nolan's confusion breaks through his rage. "Mark? My name is Marcus Grayson, 500th of my line, Emperor of Viltrum, Breaker of Thrag, and Conqueror of the Scourge. And you have no idea how much trouble you've caused." Before Nolan can process this, Emperor Mark pulls him forward, using Nolan's own momentum against him. He drives his knee into his father's solar plexus with surgical precision. The blow is perfectly placed to wind him without causing permanent damage. Nolan gasps. The air leaves his lungs. His son just hurt him. Emperor Mark releases Nolan's wrist and takes a combat stance. Not teenage brawling, classical Viltrumite martial arts that won't be invented for another 200 years. "We're going to the Pentagon. Cecil Stedman is watching this on satellite. You're going to surrender, and then you're going to learn exactly how few Viltrumites are actually left alive." Nolan is a warrior. His son's impossible words confuse him, but training overrides confusion. He attacks. He throws a right hook with enough force to shatter a building. Emperor Mark doesn't block. He redirects. His hand guides Nolan's fist past his head with minimal contact, using Nolan's own force against him. Nolan spins, aiming a kick at Mark's ribs. Mark is already inside his guard, palm striking Nolan's inner thigh, a nerve cluster. Nolan's leg goes numb for half a second. It's enough. Mark follows with a strike to Nolan's shoulder joint, the Argalian lock, a joint manipulation that exploits Viltrumite skeletal structure. Nolan's shoulder dislocates with a wet pop. Nolan roars and tries to grab Mark in a grapple. Mark shifts his weight, applies pressure to Nolan's damaged shoulder, and uses the momentum to flip Nolan over his hip. Nolan crashes into a billboard, tearing through metal and concrete. He recovers instantly, flying back at Mark with renewed fury, but Emperor Mark is fighting with techniques that shouldn't exist. The Scourge defense pattern, a fighting style developed during the virus outbreak that assumes your opponent is weakened. It's insultingly effective against a healthy Viltrumite. Mark blocks a punch, counters with an elbow to Nolan's jaw, follows with a knee to the sternum. Every strike is calculated. Every movement is efficient. Nolan is being systematically dismantled. Then Mark uses the Regent's guillotine, Thrag's signature killing move. He gets behind Nolan, wraps his arm around his father's throat, and applies pressure to the carotid arteries while simultaneously pushing Nolan's head forward. Nolan recognizes it instantly. His entire body goes rigid with horror. "Where did you learn that? That's a Grand Regent combat form. You couldn't possibly." "I learned it from Thrag," Mark says, maintaining the hold. "Right before I killed him. Would you like to hear about the others?" He releases the hold before Nolan loses consciousness. Nolan stumbles forward, gasping. "What are you?" "I'm the Emperor, and you need to understand something, Father." Mark's voice is cold. "Clinical. There are 47 pure-blooded Viltrumites left alive, not thousands. 47. The Scourge virus killed 99.9% of our species. The ring you saw around Viltrum, those aren't asteroids. They're corpses. Billions of them." Nolan tries to call this a lie. That's impossible. The Empire is a death cult clinging to past glory. "I can name all 47 survivors. Thrag, Conquest, Lucan, Craig, Anissa, Thula. I've fought 23 of them personally. I've killed 11. Nolan attacks again, driven by rage and denial. Mark meets him head-on. For the next 60 seconds, the sky above Chicago becomes a war zone. Emperor Mark delivers a calculated, brutal beatdown. He shatters 3 of Nolan's ribs on the left side, 2 on the right. He fractures Nolan's orbital bone with a precise headbutt. He tears Nolan's rotator cuff with a joint lock. He ruptures Nolan's spleen with a kidney shot. He stops short of permanent damage. This is a lesson, not an execution. Nolan crashes onto a rooftop. Bloodied and broken, he tries to stand and collapses. Emperor Mark lands beside him, completely uninjured. "How are you doing this?" "In the timeline I came from, you do this to me. You beat me across Chicago, through a city, into a subway train full of screaming people. You make me watch them die, you tell me Mom is a pet, you break my spirit, and then you fly away. You don't come back for months." Close enough that Nolan could strike, but they both know he won't. "That version of me? He forgave you, eventually. It took years, and a lot of therapy, and you had to earn it. But I'm not that version of Mark. I am the man your actions created. 500 years of war, loss, and impossible choices. I rebuilt the Viltrumite Empire from 47 survivors. I united humans and Viltrumites. I killed Thrag on the surface of the sun. And I remember every second of the path that brought me here." Nolan stares at this stranger wearing his son's face. "What do you want from me?" "I am going to save this planet. I am going to prevent the Viltrumite War. I am going to eliminate every threat I know is coming, and you are going to help me, because the alternative is that I tell Thrag you've gone soft, and he sends Conquest to execute you." Mark stands. "So here's your choice. You can fight me until I cripple you permanently, or you can surrender and I'll explain everything. Choose." Nolan, for the first time in 2,000 years, chooses surrender. "I'll listen." "Good." Mark reaches down and lifts his father onto his shoulder. "We're going to the Pentagon. Cecil needs to see this." At the Pentagon, alarms are screaming. Cecil Stedman stands in the command center, watching satellite feeds. He's been monitoring the entire fight through Nolan's earpiece. He heard every word. He watched Mark systematically dismantle the most powerful being on Earth. And now, those satellite feeds show 2 figures approaching at Mach 12. The reinforced wall explodes inward. Emperor Mark walks through the debris, carrying Omni-Man's unconscious body over one shoulder like a sack of grain. Nolan is alive. His chest rises and falls, but he's devastated. Mark drops him at Cecil's feet. The command center is silent. Everyone is staring. Cecil Stedman is not a man who panics easily, but he's watching a 17-year-old kid, costume torn, face splattered with his father's blood, casually dump the world's most powerful superhero-like trash. "Who the hell are you?" "I'm Mark Grayson, or I will be, or I was. Time is complicated. What matters is this. Omni-Man has surrendered. He is now under my authority. And so, Director Stedman, are you?" Cecil's hand moves toward the teleportation bracelet on his wrist. "Like hell I am. I don't care what you did to Nolan. Sublevel 7 of this facility contains 23 reanimated corpses with cybernetic enhancements. The project is run by D.A. Sinclair from Upstate University. He's not working willingly, you're blackmailing him with prison time. Cecil's hand freezes. Sub-level 12 houses, Demon Detective Damien Darkblood. You locked him up because he was getting too close to proving Omni-Man killed the Guardians. The White Room, your teleportation hub, is powered by quantum entanglement technology reverse-engineered from Martian tech you recovered in 1952. The orbital laser platform that just failed to stop my father cost $407 billion. The exact figure is in the black budget file on your desk, the one marked Viltrumite contingencies. Cecil's face goes pale. How do you know all of this? Because I lived through it. In my timeline, you tried to kill me 6 times. You failed every time. We eventually became allies, but it took years of mistrust first. I don't have years, Director. So I'm offering you a shortcut. What do you want? No oversight, no questions. In return, I will eliminate every major threat to this planet in the next 6 months. The Flaxans. The Sequids. The Mauler twins, Angstrom-Levy, before he becomes a problem. And I will prepare Earth for the Viltrumite Vanguard when they arrive. Cecil crosses his arms. And when they get here? When they get here, this planet will be strong enough to break them. Or I will. Either way, you win. Cecil extends a hand, not because he trusts Mark, but because he has no choice. They shake. One rule. You don't go rogue on me. The second I think you're a threat to Earth, you'll activate the orbital strike platform you're building in secret, the one that's 14 months from completion? I know, Director. I wrote the countermeasures for it in my timeline. Cecil's hand tightens on Mark's. We're going to have a very interesting working relationship. You have no idea. Mark releases Cecil's hand and turns to the medical team hovering nearby. Get him stabilized? I need him conscious in 24 hours. As the medics rush to Nolan's side, Mark walks to the window overlooking Washington, D.C., a city that, in his timeline, was reduced to rubble during the Invincible War. 47,000 casualties. He remembers the exact number. He's going to save them all, even if they never know he did it. 72 hours later, a conference room deep in the Pentagon. Present, Cecil, Donald Ferguson, Robot, and Emperor Mark. Omni-Man is recovering in a specialized medical wing under heavy sedation. Emperor Mark projects a holographic timeline on the wall. Events that haven't happened yet. The Mauler twins escape and build Angstrom-Levy's dimension machine in 3 months. The Sequids reach Earth via a Mars probe in 8 months. The Flaxans invade during a dimensional instability in 1 year. Conquest arrives to evaluate Nolan's progress in 2 years. Cecil leans forward, studying the timeline. You're saying you want to eliminate all of these threats before they happen? Not want. Will. These aren't predictions, Director. These are memories, and I'm going to prevent every single one. Robot has been silent, observing Mark with multiple camera angles embedded in the walls. Finally, he speaks. Your combat efficiency against Omni-Man suggests precognitive abilities, or temporal displacement. Your strategic knowledge indicates either omniscience or lived experience. I calculate a 73% probability you are telling the truth about your origins. The question is, do we allow you to act on this information? Emperor Mark turns to Robot. His expression is neutral. You don't allow me, Rudy, but I appreciate the courtesy of the question. The answer is yes, because in 48 hours, the Mauler twins will be dead, and Angstrom-Levy will be under protection before his accident ever happens. Cecil stands. You're talking about executing prisoners. I'm talking about preventing a genocide. In my timeline, Angstrom-Levy's machine malfunction drives him insane. He spends the next 2 years hunting me across dimensions. He kills thousands of innocent people trying to get revenge for something that wasn't even my fault. I'm going to prevent that. Permanently. And if I say no, then I do it anyway, and you lose what little control you think you have over me. Or you work with me, and we save lives together. Choose. Cecil looks at Donald. Donald looks at Robot. Robot's mechanical voice breaks the silence. I recommend cooperation. The statistical likelihood of success increases significantly with GDA resources. And Cecil sits back down. Fine, but I want oversight. Donald goes with you. Acceptable. Mark pulls up a schematic of the GDA's detention facility. The Mauler twins are held in Sublevel 4, Cell Block C. I'm going to make them an offer. That night, 0300 hours. Emperor Mark bypasses GDA security. using command codes that won't be created for another 5 years. Donald Ferguson follows behind him. Recording everything, they enter the Mauler twins' cell. The two identical men wake instantly. Alert! "Who are you?" asks the one on the left. "I'm the person who's going to decide if you live or die in the next 5 minutes. I need you to understand something. In another timeline, you build a dimensional gateway for a scientist named Angstrom Levy. The device malfunctions. Levy becomes a monster. Thousands die in the aftermath." The Mauler on the right sits up. "We haven't done anything. Yet. You haven't done anything yet, which is why I'm giving you a choice. Option 1. You work for me. Your intellect is valuable. I could use scientists who understand cloning, cybernetics, and quantum mechanics. In exchange, you get resources, funding, and freedom. Supervised freedom. Option 2. I kill you. Right now. Quickly. Painlessly. You simply cease to exist, and the timeline corrects itself around your absence." The Maulers exchange a glance. They're many things. Arrogant, criminal, dangerous. But they're not suicidal. "What kind of work?" asks the left Mauler. "Defensive technologies, weapons systems, biological countermeasures. I need to prepare this planet for an alien invasion. You're going to help me do it." The right Mauler stands. "And if we refuse?" Emperor Mark's expression doesn't change. "Then Donald here records your execution, and I move on to Plan B. You have 30 seconds to decide." The Maulers look at each other again. Some unspoken communication passes between them. Finally, the left one speaks. "We accept. Smart choice." Mark turns to Donald. "Get them set up in Lab 7. Full access to equipment, but monitored 24/7. If they try to escape, kill them." Within 24 hours, the Mauler twins are working in a secure GDA facility, using their expertise to improve defensive technologies. One threat neutralized. Next target. Angstrom Levy. Emperor Mark locates Angstrom Levy at his private research facility in Connecticut. He's a brilliant, idealistic scientist with portal powers, working alone on dimensional theory. Mark appears in his lab via controlled flight through the window. The glass shatters. Angstrom nearly opens a portal to escape. "Don't run. I'm here to save your life." Angstrom's hands glow with interdimensional energy. "Who are you?" "I'm Mark Grayson, and in 3 months, you'll attempt to merge the memories of your alternate selves using a machine built by the Mauler twins. The device will malfunction. Your brain will expand grotesquely, your memories will fracture, and you'll become a monster driven by revenge against me." "Against you? I've never met you. Not yet, but you will, and when you do, you'll blame me for your disfigurement." "It wasn't true, but you couldn't remember that. The memory overlay made you insane. You spent years hunting me across dimensions, killing thousands of innocent people in the process." Angstrom's portal energy flickers. "Why should I trust you?" "Because I'm offering you protection. I have resources. I can help you explore the multiverse safely, under controlled conditions. In exchange, you never build that machine. You never partner with the Maulers, and thousands of people who would have died in your revenge quest get to live. What do you get out of this? Peace of mind. And an ally who understands dimensional mechanics. I'm going to need that expertise when the real threats arrive." Angstrom studies Mark's face. He sees no deception, just cold, calculated pragmatism. "What kind of threats?" "The kind that can destroy planets. The kind that make your dimensional research look like a child's toy. Work with me, and I'll show you things you never imagined." Angstrom lowers his hands. The portal energy dissipates. "I'm listening." "Good. Pack your equipment. You're relocating to a GDA facility. You'll have funding, resources, and protection. In exchange, you help me understand dimensional warfare." Angstrom hesitates for one more moment. Then he nods. "Deal. 2 threats neutralized in 48 hours. Next, the Sequids. Emperor Mark flies to Mars alone. No spacesuit, no ship, just pure Viltrumite endurance. The journey takes 4 hours at maximum velocity. He lands in Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system. Deep beneath the surface, the Sequid hive is gestating. The Sequids are a parasitic collective, dangerous, insidious, and nearly impossible to contain once they spread. They can control minds, replicate infinitely, and survive in vacuum. In his timeline, they infected the Martian Sequid king and nearly took over Earth before Mark stopped them. He's not going to let them get that far. Mark descends into the caverns. The Sequids haven't reached full maturity yet. They're still in their larval stage, pulsing masses of purple tissue and neural tendrils. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't try to contain them. He destroys them. For the next 7 hours, Emperor Mark systematically incinerates every Sequid cluster using concentrated heat vision. He flies through solid rock, melting tunnels, ensuring total eradication. The temperature in the caverns reaches 3,000 degrees Celsius. The Sequid tissue vaporizes. When he's done, he collapses the entire cavern system using his bare hands. He punches through support structures, brings down millions of tons of rock, and seals the area with molten stone. He returns to Earth 11 hours after he left. Cecil is waiting in the command center. The Mars probe we were planning to send? Cancel it. There's nothing there worth finding anymore. Cecil pulls up satellite imagery of Mars. Thermal scans show a massive heat signature in Olympus Mons slowly cooling. What did you do? I eliminated an extinction-level threat before it could reach Earth. You're welcome. 48 hours after the mission began, Emperor Mark briefs Cecil on the results. Mauler twins? Neutralized, repurposed. Angstrom Levy? Protected, recruited. Sequids? Extinct. 3 apocalyptic threats eliminated before they ever materialized. Cecil looks at the list. Then he looks at Mark. You know what scares me? You're just getting started, aren't you? Director? I haven't even begun. 3 weeks later, the Flaxan portal tears through reality in downtown Chicago. Exactly as Emperor Mark predicted, purple-skinned warriors pour through. Thousands of them, armed with advanced weapons. But this time the response is different. Emperor Mark is already there, hovering directly in front of the portal. He's been waiting for 6 hours. The Flaxan warlord recognizes the Viltrumite uniform. He sneers in his native language. Emperor Mark responds in fluent Flaxan. I am Marcus Grayson. Your dimension operates on a 1/1000 time dilation ratio relative to Earth. You live faster, age faster, think faster. This makes you dangerous, but it also makes you predictable. The Flaxan warlord raises his weapon. You dare threaten? I'm going to come through that portal and end your entire civilization in what will feel like months to you. To Earth, I'll be gone 5 minutes. Surrender now, and I'll show mercy. Resist, and I'll eradicate your species. The Flaxan leader laughs and signals the invasion to continue. Thousands of warriors stream through the portal. Emperor Mark flies directly into the portal. He crosses into the Flaxan dimension. Time dilation hits him immediately. Everything accelerates. From Earth's perspective, he'll be gone 5 minutes. From the Flaxan perspective, he has months to work with. The Flaxan military is waiting. Thousands of ships, hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Advanced weapons technology designed to counter superhuman threats. They open fire the moment he emerges. Mark doesn't dodge. Flaxan energy weapons can't penetrate Viltrumite's skin. The blasts wash over him harmlessly. He accelerates to Mach 15 and crashes through the first battlecruiser. Metal tears like paper. The ship explodes. He's already moving to the next one. Week 1 in Flaxan time, Mark appears in their dimension and begins destroying military installations. He's a one-man extinction event. Their armies fall in waves. He targets weapons factories first, manufacturing centers, shipyards, anything that can produce offensive capability. The Flaxan military tries everything. Energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, chemical warfare, biological agents, nuclear strikes. Nothing works. Mark flies through mushroom clouds and emerges unscathed. Week 3, Mark locates their central government. Their parliament building is a massive structure in the capital city. He tears through the walls, grabs the Flaxan chancellor by the throat, and drags him into the sky. Tell your generals to stand down. We will never surrender to. Mark drops him from 10,000 feet. He falls screaming. Mark catches him 50 feet from the ground. Tell your generals to stand down or I start targeting civilian infrastructure, power grids, water treatment, food production. I will make your species extinct. The Chancellor's defiance cracks. He issues the order. Week 6. The Flaxan resistance collapses. Mark has destroyed 90% of their offensive capability. He stands before their ruling council in their parliament chamber. Close all portals to Earth. Permanently. Destroy the technology. Erase the coordinates from your databases. In exchange, I leave your people alive. The council argues for 3 days. Mark waits. On the 4th day, he incinerates their largest remaining military base as a demonstration. The council votes to comply. Week 8. Flaxan scientists work under Mark's supervision to dismantle their dimensional gateway network. He watches every step, using knowledge from his timeline to verify compliance. They try to hide backup systems. He finds them. He destroys them. Week 12. Mark stands at the original portal location. Behind him, the Flaxan dimension is intact but weaponless. Their civilization will survive, their invasion capability will not. He returns to the portal and crosses back to Earth. 5 minutes and 30 seconds have passed on Earth. The portal shimmers. Emperor Mark emerges, covered head to toe in green Flaxan blood. His costume is shredded, his face is stone. The Flaxan portal collapses behind him and doesn't reopen. News helicopters have been circling for 6 minutes. They expected a battle. Instead, they witnessed a teenager fly into a portal and emerge victorious in less time than it takes to brew coffee. Cecil's voice crackles over comms. "What the hell did you do in there?" I explained their options. They made the rational choice. The Flaxans will not invade again. How can you be sure? Because I spent 3 months in their dimension ensuring it. I dismantled their military, broke their spirit, and made sure they understand what happens if they ever open another portal. You were gone 5 minutes. Time dilation is useful that way. That night, alone in his apartment, Emperor Mark allows himself a moment of weakness. He showers off the blood, gallons of it, green, sticky, smelling like copper and ozone. He stares at his reflection in the mirror. He looks 17. He feels 500. The Flaxan campaign felt like 3 months. In reality, he's been in this timeline for less than 2 months total. He has decades of work ahead of him. 2 weeks later, Emperor Mark descends to sublevel 15 of the Pentagon, a specialized containment unit designed for Viltrumites. The room is lined with gravity amplifiers, turned up to 10x Earth normal. Walking is difficult. Fighting is impossible. Nolan Grayson sits in the center of the room, wrists bound with titanium restraints. Symbolic? Not functional. He's been healing for 2 weeks. The broken bones have mended. The psychological damage has not. The door opens. Emperor Mark enters, carrying 2 chairs. He sets them down facing each other and sits. "Hello, Father." Nolan looks older, defeated. 2 weeks of isolation, watching news coverage of his son eliminating threats with surgical precision, has shaken him. Are you really him? My son? Genetically, yes. Psychologically, no. I'm what your son becomes after 500 years of cleaning up the mess you started. What do you want from me? The truth, and I'm going to give you some in return. Emperor Mark pulls out a holographic projector and displays an image, Viltrum's corpse ring. Do you know what this is? Nolan stares. He's seen the ring before. Every Viltrumite has. It's iconic. The asteroid field around Viltrum. A natural phenomenon. Corpses. Nolan goes silent. Those aren't asteroids, Father. They're bodies. Billions of Viltrumite bodies. The Scourge virus killed 99.9% of our species. This is where we put them. Mark describes the virus with clinical precision, engineered by Thetis using his own DNA. Delivered via disguised asteroid impact. 99.9% fatality rate. Survivors are immune but sterile. The Empire turned outward to breed with compatible species like humans. Nolan's face drains of color. This is a lie. A trick to, I can name all 47 survivors. Would you like me to recite them alphabetically or by rank? Mark begins. Thrag, Grand Regent. Conquest, High General. Lucan, Battle Master. Craig, Fleet Commander. Anissa, Infiltration Specialist. Thula, Shock Trooper. Onan, Reconnaissance Officer. He continues for 2 full minutes naming Viltrumites with their full designations, histories, and current assignments, information that shouldn't exist outside the Grand Regent's inner circle. Nolan's expression crumbles. How do you know this? Because Thrag told me, right before I ripped his spine out on the surface of the sun. Mark leans forward. Here's what you don't understand, Father. You're not a conqueror. You're a refugee. The Viltrumite Empire isn't expanding. It's dying. Every world you conquer is just another genetic reservoir to prevent extinction. You're fighting for a dead civilization that's using you as breeding stock. Nolan's voice cracks. If this is true, why did Thrag send me? Because you're disposable. You're not royalty. You're not part of Argal's bloodline. You're a soldier, a useful idiot, and when you fail to conquer Earth, Thrag will send someone to execute you. Mark pulls up another hologram. Nolan's psychological evaluation from 1987, the year he arrived on Earth. This is your file from the Viltrumite archives. It notes that you were chosen specifically because you showed emotional detachment, low empathy, high mission focus. Was it? Or did 20 years with Debbie Grayson change you? Did living as a human, loving a human, raising a son make you soft? Mark's voice drops. In my timeline, you leave Earth after our fight. You wander space for months. You almost kill yourself flying into a black hole. You're saved when you rescue a Flaxan transport. You settle on their world. You marry a Flaxan woman named Anissa. You have another son, Oliver. Nolan looks stunned. You become their emperor. You protect them. You love them. And when the Viltrumites come to arrest you, you fight back. Not for the Empire, but for them. That version of you chose his family over Viltrum. You betrayed the Empire to save people you loved. So let me ask you, Father, if you can love Anissa and Oliver, people you haven't even met yet, why can't you love Debbie and me? Nolan has no answer. I'm giving you a choice. You can cling to the Empire's lies and die alone in this cell. Or you can accept the truth. Viltrum is dead. The Empire is a death cult. And the only family you have left is upstairs, wondering if you ever loved her. You have 24 hours to decide. Choose wisely. Emperor Mark stands and walks to the door. Wait. Nolan calls out. If I choose, if I help you, what happens to me? Emperor Mark looks back. You get to be a father. Maybe for the first time. The door closes. 2 months after the Pentagon incident, Emperor Mark has been working non-stop with the GDA, the Mahler twins, and Robot to prepare Earth's defenses. A secure lab deep in the GDA facility. Present. Cecil, Robot, the Mahler twins, and Emperor Mark. On the central display, a schematic of Earth's atmosphere with projected frequency modulation zones. Viltrumites have one exploitable weakness: their inner ear balancing system. Disrupt it with the right frequency, and they become disoriented, powerless, potentially dead. The coalition of planets developed this weapon during the Viltrumite War. It won them several key battles. I'm going to build it here, now, before the Vanguard arrives. The Mahler on the left adjusts his glasses. The challenge is generating a sustained frequency field across an entire planet without detection. The Mahler on the right nods. We solve that by hiding it in plain sight. Emperor Mark nods. Exactly. We're not building emitters. We're modifying existing infrastructure. Over the next 6 weeks, the team systematically alters cell phone towers to emit subharmonic frequencies. Power grids are retuned to create overlapping resonance fields. Satellite networks provide orbital amplification of ground-based signals. Weather stations enable atmospheric ionization to enhance wave propagation. None of these modifications are detectable by standard analysis. To any observer, they're normal infrastructure improvements. Robot develops a kill switch tied to Cecil's biometrics. Only he can activate the field. Insurance, in case you turn on us. But unnecessary. When the Vanguard arrives, you'll want this weapon ready. They run a localized test in a shielded chamber. Nolan, now cooperating, volunteers to verify effectiveness. The frequency activates. Nolan immediately collapses, clutching his head. His equilibrium is destroyed. His flight cuts out. He falls to the floor. It works, he confirms after they shut it down. Too well. 5 more seconds and I would have lost consciousness. Cecil confronts Mark privately after the test. You're building a weapon that could kill every Viltrumite on Earth. Including you. Including Nolan. That doesn't bother you? It bothers me immensely, but it's necessary. When Anissa arrives, she'll be expecting a primitive, defenseless planet. She'll be expecting Nolan to have conquered it. Instead, she'll walk into a trap that can neutralize her in seconds. That's the only way we survive first contact without massive casualties. And what if they send more? What if Thrag himself comes? Then we activate the field and pray it's enough. Because, Director, in my timeline, Earth wasn't ready. Millions died. I'm not letting that happen again. The trap is set. Earth's entire atmosphere is now a weapon. All they need is a target. 4 months later, GDA sensors pick up an anomaly entering Earth's atmosphere. Fast. Controlled. Viltrumite. Cecil's voice crackles over comms. Mark, we have incoming. Single target velocity matches Viltrumite flight patterns. It's Anissa. Right on schedule. Don't activate the field yet. I want her on the ground first. Anissa lands in Washington, D.C., directly on the White House lawn. She's everything a Viltrumite warrior should be. Confident, powerful, contemptuous of humans. She's expecting to find Nolan ruling Earth with an iron fist. Instead, she finds a city full of terrified humans and no sign of Viltrumite control. Emperor Mark lands 20 feet away from her. Alone, no backup, just a teenage boy in a torn costume. Anissa sneers. You must be the offspring. Where is Nolan? He's indisposed. You'll be meeting him shortly. First, we need to discuss the terms of your surrender. Anissa laughs, a genuine, amused laugh. You think you can negotiate with me, child? I've conquered planets for the Empire. I've killed thousands of... Emperor Mark moves, not attacking, just closing the distance in a microsecond. He's inside her personal space before she can react. I know who you are, Anissa. I know your combat record. I know about the forced breeding programs you participated in. I know you personally killed 3,421 sentients during the Tail Scrya campaign. Her expression shifts. How does he know this? I also know that in my original timeline, you rape me to force hybrid offspring. You violate me repeatedly over several weeks until I manage to escape. Anissa recoils, genuinely shocked. So understand this. I am not my father's son. I am not the Mark Grayson you were briefed about. I am an emperor, and you are going to surrender or I am going to break every bone in your body. Anissa attacks. She throws a haymaker. Emperor Mark ducks under it, drives his elbow into her ribs. Specifically the 4th and 5th ribs, where Viltrumite bone density is weakest. He feels them crack. She tries to grab him in a grapple. He applies the Argalian lock. Her shoulder dislocates with a wet pop. She headbutts him. His head doesn't move. He headbutts her back, perfectly placed to shatter her nose and disorient her inner ear. Anissa realizes she's outmatched. She tries to fly away, to escape and report back. Emperor Mark catches her ankle and slams her into the ground so hard she creates a crater. Activate the field, he says calmly into his comm. Cecil activates the atmospheric frequency network. Anissa screams. Her hands go to her head. Her flight cuts out mid-air and she drops 30 feet onto concrete. The invisible weapon is cooking her inner ear, disrupting her equilibrium at a cellular level. Emperor Mark deactivates the field after 5 seconds. Anissa is on her knees, bleeding from her ears, vomiting. That's what we've done to this planet. The entire atmosphere is a weapon now. Every square inch of air is lethal to you if we activate it. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to contact the Empire. You're going to tell them Earth has been successfully integrated. You're going to report that Nolan has established a compliant human government and hybrid breeding programs are underway. Then you're going to stay here as a guest, and you're going to help me prepare for what comes next. Anissa's voice is weak. And if I refuse, then I activate the field permanently, and you die in approximately 90 seconds. Your choice. Anissa is a pragmatist. She's also terrified. This teenager just dismantled her in under a minute and revealed a weapon that could extinct the entire Viltrumite species. She makes the call. Using GDA equipment, Anissa sends a coded message to Viltrumite Command. Earth pacified. Integration proceeding as planned. Recommend no further intervention. The message is logged and filed. Earth drops to low priority status in the Empire's expansion plans. Anissa is taken to a cell adjacent to Nolan's. She's healing but broken, physically and psychologically. Emperor Mark visits her that evening. In my timeline, you eventually became an ally. You defected from the Empire. You helped us fight Thrag. You died protecting human refugees during the final battle. That woman, the Anissa who made those choices, she's in there somewhere. I'm going to find her, whether you cooperate or not. Anissa stares at him with something approaching respect. Or fear. You're not human, are you? Not anymore. No, I'm something worse. I'm what happens when you push a good person too far for too long. 3 days after Anissa's capture, a secure conference room at the Pentagon. Present, Cecil, Robot, Nolan, Anissa in restraints, and Emperor Mark. Emperor Mark places a data chip on the table. This contains the complete Viltrumite genetic registry. I've had it analyzed by the Mahler twins and verified against multiple independent sources. He pulls up a holographic display, a genealogical tree stretching back millennia. At the top, Emperor Argal, the greatest ruler Viltrum ever had, assassinated by Thetis, triggering the Great Purge. The tree branches downward through generations. Here's where it gets interesting. A specific lineage highlights in gold. Argal's direct bloodline was believed extinct. Thetis hunted down and killed Argal's children to prevent succession wars. But he missed one. The line terminates in a name, Nolan Grayson. Nolan's face goes pale. That's impossible. I'm not. Your mother lied about your father. She hid you, raised you in obscurity, died before revealing the truth. You've been Argal's last living descendant this entire time and never knew it. Anissa stares at the display in horror. If this is true, if you carry Argal's blood, then I have a legitimate claim to the throne, not as a conqueror, as royalty, direct lineage. Emperor Mark turns to face them both. This is how we end the Empire without total war. I don't challenge Thrag's authority. I supersede it. Thrag is Grand Regent, a placeholder. I am the rightful Emperor. The Empire is fundamentally monarchist. They'll follow bloodline over might, especially when the bloodline proves itself in combat. He turns to Anissa. I'm giving you a choice, Anissa. You can recognize my claim here and now, bend the knee to the rightful heir, or you can dispute it and I'll be forced to prove my superiority through combat. Again, Anissa is a warrior, but she's also a political operative. She understands power structures. If Mark truly carries Argal's blood, defying him is suicide. Worse, it's heresy. She drops to one knee. I recognize your claim, Emperor Marcus Grayson. Blood of Argal. All eyes turn to Nolan. This is the moment. Emperor Mark is asking his father, the man who beat him across a city, who called his mother a pet, to submit. Nolan stands. For a moment, the tension is unbearable. Then he drops to one knee. I recognize your claim, my lord. Emperor Mark stands between them. A 17-year-old boy with the authority of empires. Then hear my first decree. Earth is now the provisional capital of the reformed Viltrumite Empire. This planet is under my protection. Any Viltrumite who threatens it answers to me. Second decree. The breeding program is suspended indefinitely. No more forced integration. No more conquest. Viltrum will rebuild through cooperation, not subjugation. Third decree, Nolan Grayson is hereby pardoned for his crimes against Earth. He will serve as my ambassador to humanity. Cecil's hand slams on the table. Hold on, you can't just pardon. Director Stedman, I just declared Earth the capital of an interstellar empire. I can do whatever I want, but I'm giving you a gift. Nolan's cooperation, his knowledge, his protection. In exchange, you don't prosecute him for the Guardians' deaths. Cecil looks like he wants to argue, but he's a pragmatist. Fine, but he's on a leash. My leash. Acceptable. Later, alone with Nolan, Emperor Mark drops the imperial facade. I meant what I said. You're pardoned, not because you deserve it, but because I need you. Nolan's voice cracks. Why? After everything I did, and despite 500 years of therapy, I still want to believe you can change. I don't know if I can be what you need me to be. Then try. For once in your life, just try. 6 months after the divergence, the world has changed. Subtly, but irrevocably. To the general public, the story is simple. Invincible defeated Omni-Man. The villain was captured. Earth is safe. Only a select few know the truth. A teenage boy from the future rewrote the timeline and declared himself emperor of an alien empire. The threat board has been updated, eliminated, Omni-Man neutralized and rehabilitated, Mauler twins recruited and repurposed, Flaxan Empire conquered and pacified, Sequids extinct, Angstrom Levy protected and recruited, Anissa captured and converted, prevented, the Invincible War, Angstrom Levy never becomes a villain, the Thraxan invasion, Nolan never goes to Thraxa, Conquest's arrival indefinitely delayed by false reports. Remaining threats? Long-term. Thrag still believes Earth is pacified. Robots' plans still calculating, still dangerous. Alan and the Coalition unaware of timeline changes. The Grayson house. Evening. Debbie Grayson sits in her living room. Nolan is upstairs, technically under house arrest, but free to move around. They're trying to rebuild something. It's awkward, painful, but they're trying. Mark walks in through the front door, not flying, walking, like a normal teenager. Hey, Mom. Debbie looks up and sees her son, and doesn't recognize him. This Mark is calm, controlled, ancient, nothing like the boy who left for college 6 months ago. "Are you okay?" she asks. "I'm fine. Just tired. Long day." But he's not fine. He's 517 years old, trapped in a 17-year-old body. He remembers things that haven't happened. He mourns friends who aren't dead yet. He carries the weight of preventing apocalypses no one will ever know about. Debbie's mother instinct activates. "Mark, what happened to you? And don't tell me you're fine." Mothers know. For a long moment, he's silent. "I saved the world, Mom. I prevented wars, stopped invasions, eliminated threats that would have killed millions. I did everything right." "Then why do you look so sad?" "Because I can't tell you about any of it. I can't explain why I know things I shouldn't know. I can't grieve for people who aren't dead in this timeline. I can't celebrate victories no one knows happened. I'm completely alone." Debbie takes his hand. "You're not alone. I'm right here. Your father is upstairs. We're your family. We may not understand everything you've been through, but we're here." "Thanks, Mom. That means more than you know." But even as he says it, Mark knows it's not enough. Debbie is trying. Nolan is trying. But they're strangers to him now. The Debbie he knew died in the Viltrumite War. The Nolan he knew sacrificed himself fighting Thrag. These versions, alive, safe, in this kitchen, they're precious. But they're not his. 1 week later, the Pentagon. Emperor Mark stands before a holographic star map with Cecil. "What's next?" Cecil asks. "We prepare. The Vanguard is satisfied for now, but eventually, Thrag will want to visit. When he does, we need to be ready." "Ready how?" "Ready to offer him a choice. Accept my claim to the throne peacefully or fight me for it. And if he chooses to fight, just like I did in my timeline, except this time, I do it before he murders thousands." Cecil leans back in his chair. "You know what bothers me? You've prevented so many deaths, saved so many lives. But you don't seem happy about it." "I'm not, because every life I save is a reminder of the timeline where I failed. Every person walking around alive is someone who died screaming in my memories. I did this because it was necessary, not because it brought me peace. Robot has been monitoring everything. His calculations are complete." He approaches Emperor Mark in a secure lab 3 days later. "I've analyzed your behavioral patterns, strategic decisions, and knowledge base. I calculate a 94% probability that you are telling the truth about temporal displacement." "Good for you, Rudy. However, I've also calculated that your intervention has created 347 potential cascade failures. Threats you've eliminated had downstream effects you haven't accounted for. The timeline is now unstable in ways you cannot predict." Emperor Mark turns to face him. "I know. Every change creates ripples. But the alternative was letting everyone die. I'll deal with the consequences as they emerge. Will you, or will you simply rewrite the timeline again when things go wrong?" "I can't. This was a one-time event. The chronal shockwave that brought me here won't happen again. I get one chance to fix this. That's it." Robot's optical sensors focus on Mark. "Then I recommend you prepare for variables you haven't anticipated. Because in my experience, the universe has a way of correcting aberrations." "Noted. But Robot's warning stays with him. What if he missed something? What if eliminating these threats created worse ones?" That night, Mark stands on his apartment balcony looking out over Washington, D.C. The city sprawls before him. Alive, intact, peaceful. In his original timeline, this city was reduced to rubble during the Invincible War, 47,000 casualties. He remembers the exact number. Now it's just another night, people going to dinner, watching TV, living their lives. Completely unaware that they were supposed to be dead. He saved them, all of them. He rewrote the worst timeline into the best one. So why does he feel like he lost? Because he did. He lost the chance to grow up normally, to make mistakes, to learn slowly, to have friends his own age who didn't see him as an authority figure. He saved the world by becoming something inhuman. An emperor, a god, a lonely, isolated genius who can never truly connect with anyone because he's lived lifetimes they can't imagine. Mark? He turns. Nolan stands in the doorway. "Can't sleep either?" Mark asks. "No. Too many thoughts." They stand in silence for a moment. Father and son. Emperor and ambassador. Two Viltrumites trying to figure out how to be human. "Was it worth it?" Nolan asks. "Everything you gave up to save this timeline?" Emperor Mark looks out over the city. "Ask me in 500 years. They stand together on the balcony, looking out over a city that should be ash. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wail. A normal crime. A normal night. Mark closes his eyes and allows himself one moment of weakness. I miss her. Who? Eve. The version of Eve I knew. She's alive here. But she doesn't know me. Not really. And I can never tell her what we meant to each other in another life. Tentative. Uncertain. I'm sorry. Me too, Dad. Me too. The next morning, Emperor Mark receives an alert from the GDA. Alan the alien has entered Earth's solar system. He's on approach vector for Earth. Cecil's voiceover comms. Should we engage? Negative. That's Alan. He's a Coalition of Planets agent. He visited Earth once before, months ago, during his routine evaluation runs. He's here because Coalition intelligence detected the energy signatures from our atmospheric weapon and the Viltrumite communications traffic from Anissa's report. He needs to understand what's changed. Let him lands in Washington, D.C. 3 hours later. He visited Earth before and found one Viltrumite stationed on a primitive planet with basic defenses. Now he's detecting advanced weapon systems, atmospheric modifications, and Viltrumite signature energy patterns suggesting multiple Viltrumites present. Something has changed dramatically. Emperor Mark is waiting for him on the landing pad. Alan. Right on schedule. Alan's 3 eyes widen. How do you know my name? We met briefly during my last evaluation, but because in another timeline, you and I were friends. You helped me fight the Viltrumite Empire. You nearly died protecting Earth. And you're about to do it again. I have no idea what you're talking about. Emperor Mark smiles. It's the first genuine smile he's had in months. I know. But you will. Come with me. We need to talk about the Coalition, Thetis, and how we're going to prevent a war that would kill billions. Alan follows, confused but intrigued. In the secure briefing room, Emperor Mark lays out everything. The Scourge virus, the 47 survivors, Thrag's deception, Earth's new status as provisional Viltrumite capital, and most importantly, his claim to Argol's bloodline. Alan processes this information. If what you're saying is true, if the Viltrumite Empire is down to 47 survivors, then the Coalition doesn't need to fight them. Exactly, which is why I'm proposing an alliance. Earth joins the Coalition of Planets. We share technology, intelligence, and military resources. In exchange, the Coalition recognizes my claim to the Viltrumite throne and supports peaceful integration. Thetis will never agree to this. Thetis is a Viltrumite. He engineered the Scourge virus. He'll agree because I have leverage. I know his secret, and I know he wants the Viltrumite species to survive, just under different leadership. I'll take your proposal to the Coalition, but I can't guarantee they'll accept. They will. Because the alternative is a war that kills everyone, and Thetis is smart enough to avoid that. Alan leaves Earth with the proposal. Emperor Mark watches his ship depart and allows himself a moment of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he can prevent the Viltrumite war entirely. 4 months later, Alan returns with the Coalition's response. They accept. Earth is granted provisional membership in the Coalition of Planets. In exchange, Emperor Mark agrees to oversee Viltrumite integration and ensure no further conquest. Thetis himself sends a coded message. I know what you are. I know what you've done. If you can truly reform the Empire, you have my support. But if you fail, I will finish what I started. Emperor Mark sends a reply. I won't fail. The Viltrumite Empire ends with me. What comes next will be better. 6 months after that, Thrag makes contact. He demands a meeting on neutral ground. Emperor Mark agrees. They meet on a barren moon orbiting a distant star. Thrag is everything the legends say. Massive, scarred, radiating power and contempt. You claim to carry Argol's blood. I do, and I can prove it. Emperor Mark provides genetic evidence. Verified by Coalition scientists. Verified by Viltrumite records Thrag himself possesses. The data is irrefutable. Thrag's expression doesn't change. Bloodline means nothing without strength. Then, test me. They fight. For 3 hours they battle across the moon's surface. Thrag is stronger, far stronger. Every punch Mark throws, Thrag matches with twice the force. Emperor Mark's ribs crack under the onslaught. His shoulder dislocates. Blood fills his mouth. But Emperor Mark has something Thrag doesn't. 500 years of future knowledge. He doesn't try to match Thrag's strength. He doesn't need to. He knows every technique Thrag will use before Thrag uses it. He knows exactly where Thrag's guard will drop. He knows which strikes will cause pain Thrag has never felt before. And most importantly, he knows Thrag's pride will keep him fighting long after a smarter opponent would retreat. Mark takes the punishment, absorbs the damage, waits for the opening he knows is coming. Thrag throws a devastating right hook, putting all his strength behind it. Mark doesn't dodge. He redirects it past his head by millimeters, steps inside Thrag's guard, and drives his fist into the exact nerve cluster in Thrag's neck that will paralyze his left arm for 3 seconds. Thrag's eyes widen. His arm goes limp. Mark follows with the Regent's Guillotine, Thrag's own signature move, applied with perfect precision. The fight ends with Mark's hand around Thrag's throat and his comm device broadcasting a simple message to Cecil: activate the atmospheric weapon. Wide range, low intensity. Give the Grand Regent a taste. Thrag's eyes widen as the frequency field activates across the moon's thin atmosphere. It's not enough to kill him, but it's enough to make him understand. The pain hits. His equilibrium shatters. His flight cuts out. Mark releases him. Thrag drops to his knees, gasping. You planned this. The moon, the atmosphere, the weapon. I plan everything. That's what emperors do. Mark stands over him. I can kill you right now. Or you can bend the knee and help me build something better than the empire you've been protecting. Thrag looks into Mark's eyes and sees the truth. This boy has killed him before, in another timeline, another life. And he'll do it again if necessary. Thrag kneels. I recognize your claim, Emperor Marcus Grayson, blood of Argal. The Viltrumite Empire doesn't end with war. It ends with a treaty. The 47 remaining Viltrumites are integrated into the coalition of planets. They're given worlds to protect, not conquer. They're allowed to build families through cooperation, not force. Earth becomes the symbolic capital, the place where the old empire died and something new was born. 1 year after the divergence, Emperor Mark stands in the Grayson house. Debbie is cooking dinner. Nolan is setting the table. It's domestic, normal, everything the original timeline never had. Mark watches them and feels the weight of 500 years pressing down. He saved them. He saved everyone. But he'll never be the son they wanted. He'll never be the person he was supposed to become. He's an emperor without an empire, a warrior without a war, a man without a time. But he's alive. They're alive. And maybe that's enough. Debbie calls him to dinner. He sits down with his parents and pretends to be 17 years old. He laughs at his father's awkward jokes. He tells his mother about school even though he hasn't attended in weeks. And for one moment, one brief, fragile moment, he lets himself believe this is real. Later that night, alone in his room, Mark pulls up a holographic display, a list of threats he's eliminated, a list of lives he's saved, a list of victories no one will ever know about. He deletes the file. It doesn't matter. The work is done. The timeline is stable. The future is secure. He lies down and closes his eyes. For the first time in 500 years, he sleeps without nightmares. This is what would have happened if Emperor Mark woke up against Omni-Man. He would have saved the world. He would have prevented every major catastrophe. He would have reformed the Viltrumite Empire and ended the war before it began. And he would have done it all alone, carrying knowledge no one else could understand, making choices no one else could make, becoming something more than human and less than happy. The timeline is saved. The Emperor is victorious. And Mark Grayson is utterly, completely alone. But what do you think would have happened if Conquest didn't die and joined Emperor Mark's campaign? Or what if Thrag refused to kneel and the final battle happened 1,000 years early?